Glenn Youngkin. Anybody familiar with that? We're looking at a controversial clip on Twitter I was sent today. You know, I always get clips sent to me. And if you guys want to send clips as well, I recommend. We don't really have a good outlet for that yet. I'm sure we will in the future. Don't email them to me because many of you guys email me clips. Not a good place to email me. But I get clips sent to me. Anyways, we go through the filter. And today we're looking at this Glenn Youngkin on Twitter. It's a 4-minute clip. Let's take a look at this clip. I'm curious.
In the moment that you grab the gun, like Fanon says, you're no longer oppressed. You're now free. How do we teach that in the class? Just to say that in the class, my students' heads explode, right? To tell them about violence, you know, as a revolutionary tool, as sometimes a revolutionary essential.
We actually need to crash the U.S. settler state, which has incredible reverberations and literally strangles the tentacles that are reaching into the Israeli state.
So we must stand with the armed resistance and work right now to end this impunity by disrupting the flow of weapons to Zionists. Because trust, the armed resistance will defeat Zionism if it was open battlefield.
Yeah, I've been humbled since October 7th, particularly being in community with folks. Particularly when you're someone who has been doing this work, why stop? This is a profound moment for us, right? And we need to dig in and go harder.
I think putting our bodies on the line sometimes to protect those who are more vulnerable, right? To eat tear gas when we should be doing that and not students. I think that's essential.
So we have to struggle to crash things here. And my students were very, very clear about this. We have to struggle for indigenous sovereignty right here on Turtle Island. Like there's no way around it, and there's no looking past it at this particular moment.
When that comes time to the university saying, retract that or get fired, I'm confident in myself that I will make that right decision. That is the point of being a guerrilla scholar.
You know, I'm sure that you've been snitched on to the administration about the content in your courses. That has been something that has happened for me, and I don't know what our administration is going to do, right? I know the work that I have been doing. I know the work that I've committed myself to, and I'm going to continue to do the work, right?
People missed out on the significance of what Hezbollah represented, right? Of what the Iranian Revolution represented, and they just fell into the imperialist ideological representation of those movements and forces that were challenging imperialism.
Challenge what the settler state, the settlement of the University of Virginia that we're on, which is still a plantation and has all of its plantation artifacts up, right? And artifacts. I'm trying to really ride the wheels off of these institutional resources and go for broke.
That we have to understand Al-Aqsa flood on October 7th and since then as a really decisive historic strike in terms of not just Palestinian national liberation, right? But it's a historic strike intervening into this, and I apologize for kind of rushing through the anti-imperialist moment of the past 20, 30 years, but I think it's a decisive strike into challenging those two legs of imperialism.
Some colleagues who are part of my chapter of Faculty for Justice for Palestine to help us teach Palestinian liberation, right? To teach about resistance struggles at this particular phase of Palestinian resistance in our classrooms and how to build community with not just faculty, but students who are committed to this.
I think Hamas, what it represents, and not just Hamas, but the whole armed resistance movement, it represents a rejection and a refusal of an equation of force that leaves Palestinians dependent and eternally vulnerable, and having to distort and configure themselves to seek recognition and protection from their oppressors. So how can subjugated states, subjugated peoples elevate their struggle from that in a colony, in a one-to-one relation of overthrowing the immediate colonizer to overturning this broader imperialist world system, which was missing in the 20th century struggles? And I believe we're in a moment where it's being put to the question in a way it never has been before.
I listened to this whole clip intently right now, and I genuinely didn't hear anything. Like, I didn't hear a single word. Did any of you guys walk away with any information? This video was the biggest. biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard in my life. Let's read a little bit. Last week, Glenn Youngkin did a media circuit declaring the DEI is done at the University of Virginia. If that were the case, there would be a private workshop and seminar on decolonizing your syllabus and seeing the unseen, identifying and unlearning colonial paradigms in higher education, which is happening this Friday at UVA. What does decolonial thought look like? Here are 3 professors, all from Virginia's top 3 public universities, discussing decolonial theory. Meet the University of Virginia's Tiffany King, Virginia Tech's Bikram Gill, and William and Mary Stephens Sheehy. Do these professors sound like educators or radicals hell-bent on destroying America? I would say the latter. And the moment that you grab the gun like Fannin says, you're no longer oppressed, you're now free. How do we teach that in the class? Just to say that in the class, my students' head explode.
In the moment that you grab the...
We must crash the U.S. settler state. We must stand with armed resistance working right now to end... It's just a whole lot of jargon. It's a whole lot of hullabaloo. Just, there's nothing there. I want there to be something deeper, but there just isn't, my love. We don't have it. There's nothing there. Everything I just repeated and watched is all just a bunch of horse shit. I didn't gain anything from it. It was all just a bunch of shit. I wish I could say like I walked away with like, hey, these people are evil in America. It's just a lot of confused jargon. I really don't believe you can stand for the uprising or liberation of America against colonialism while living in America. I don't believe it's a thing you could do. Sorry. I don't believe in that tenet. And I debate with people on a daily basis about that. I believe if you want to overthrow America and you want America to fall, you need to leave the United States of America. You can't stay there. If you stay there, you're just being a hypocrite. Like you can't actively be living in the state that you want to destroy. And if you believe that, and I believe the same way for Israel, by the way, if you're an Arab in Israel or even an Israeli who wants to see the dismantlement of Israel, you can't do it from inside of the state. You can't also reap the benefits of living in the state because Israel neither oppresses nor America oppresses most of these people that want to see the destruction of the states from within. So if you're not actively being oppressed by the state, I don't believe that you should be living in this state that you want to overthrow. And I'm sorry, you have to weigh oppression versus where you would be oppressed more. So if in Israel you feel oppressed, but in, let's say, Afghanistan or in Syria or in Lebanon, you would be murdered, your oppression in Israel is not really valid. I mean, everyone's oppression is valid, but it doesn't mean much for the sake of conversation. And even like right now, I'm rambling political jargon that doesn't make too much sense. I hope this is an important lesson that you guys learned from what we just watched. Just because they're teachers or just because I'm a YouTuber doesn't mean you should listen to everything that I say. Do your own research. Learn and understand the true history, the facts on the ground of what's real, what's up, what's down. I'll see you guys in the next one. Critical thinking. Critical thinking. If too many people believe the same thing, think critically. Love you guys. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.